Welcome to the bucket parable.
Welcome to the Stanley bucket.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Hey, 420. Damn it!
No blaze it today.
Oh, but I like the cat.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly
Let's
to
blaze,
his
not
chest
blaze it.
and entered the door on his left.
So anyway, we have a lot of them to do.
Gotta collect them all. Is this some kind of game? Stairs. Something to do with stairs. Some are both red and blue. There must be a point to this. There will be a reward for finding them all. Lies! Construct bridge. Retrieve Chris's remains from warehouse floor. Construct new structurally sound bridge. We need more planks. Trust the completionist instinct. Why don't they just tell us something will happen? This investigation, this room, they feel pointless, TBH. Ideas. Money. What do they want? Magic. Why floating? Dreams. Why
do they kind of look like 427?
Who took these pictures of these? What makes them float in the air? How can you tell you spotted one? Agenda. Yes, I did read those in backwards order. We can do it. Follow clues. Maybe they are the collectibles.
Maybe we are the collectibles.
Shut the frick up. To whom it may concern, I can't read the rest. I managed to pick up sounds unusual to our regular office ambiances or local audio sources using an array of cardioid microphones, also known as directional mic, a microphone which picks up sound from a particular area. Analysis of the recordings allowed me to triangulate the source of the strange noise. Data shows that, in all likelihood, it's coming from a dark area behind a very warm place. I also picked up what looks to be reverberance off of a porcelain surface. Anyone have any leads on this? Wouldn't you like to know?
So yeah, there might be a reason to grab all 6 figurines than what we thought.
Private but smelly place for an important person.
That was the bathroom.
You're by a fireplace.
That was the elevator shaft. That was the sequel exhibit, and the box room, which was what I'm calling the clothes room now. So we got 2 more to find.
Clothes.
We already dealt with the broom closet.
Coming to a staircase,
Well, we have
Stanley
a few endings down and up. Which one first, Joel?
Down.
Okay.
You're going down!
Goes down.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
So anyway.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy.
Seem
And
very.
then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket.
What do you mean? It says property of Stanley on it.
Bucket. This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
The real bucket was the friends we made along the way.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Absolute perfection.
She backflipped all the way to work.
The bucket endings are the best ones.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Yay.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
One left.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Thank you, Porky.
Anyway, we have two endings down this path.
Stanley and Bucket. Stanley and Bucket Chan, the true OTP.
Truly.
I just said the true one, true
The
pair.
elevator raced down.
Yeah.
It's so true I had to say true twice.
ATM machine.
It would be all Stanley could do to
AAT
keep himself
tank.
together, if not for the bucket. Soothing
DM
him,
move.
comforting him,
CRT
reassuring
TV.
that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you,
The
Stanley.
fun part is I don't even remember what CR means.
Challenge rating?
Calibrating television.
Stanley and the bucket
Indeed.
walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
So Joel, bad ending to mind control or escape?
Escape.
Let's go, Bucket.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Oh boy.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Bucket will protect me. Don't worry, Bucket, we'll get through this together.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Well,
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
Just the bucket.
don't worry, Bucket, we can get through this.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Bucket? Bucket?
You're standing at the precipice of knowledge, much like a bucket itself. The human mind is frequently empty within.
Gonna give this
a
about 10 seconds before
cavernous
I go
void,
on.
But through the use of exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here?
Okay, let's go.
You wasn't finished! No! No! How dare you disrespect the bucket!
you'll have to
You
walk
have
through.
disrespected the bucket!
For Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own, can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you
Two
see that the
handles,
bucket is far
too
more
dangerous and
noble than
recklessly
Stanley will
experimental.
ever be in
Dozens
his
are put to
short
death
life?
just for attempting it.
My God.
The replica of the Inferno bucket was so powerfully alluring that drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet in spite of it all, the simple fact remains no one could control the bucket.
My God.
While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, we don't know about how long. The caveman's drawing depicts early man's discoveries of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures.
Huh.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Oh no. Oh dear.
This place symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear a grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is out of our reach. Always. This distance inevitably is for our own good.
Bucket. Oh. Don't worry, Bucket.
You're gone all Willy Coyote.
It's my
But
bucket.
there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take his place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Well, we died for our bucket overlord.
At your service, my bucket. It's like, I will never be a simp. At your service, my
All
bucket.
his co-workers would come. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Yeah, I know. We'll get it
Spoopy
soon.
music.
Coming to a
Very
staircase,
spooky.
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Last one we gotta head this way for.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
Yes,
Was the
of
bucket
course the
guiding
bucket
him?
knew.
Yes.
The
This is
bucket
certainly
knows
the most
all.
logical explanation.
Lord Bucket. For Lady Bucket. For Ladle Guard.
But it's not a ladle, it's a bucket.
Hubert's is a ladle.
Well, Link has the lucky ladle.
Shush.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place
And
hold?
I missed them.
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall. Now,
I didn't know this ending existed.
Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here.
I didn't know this ending existed.
After some time had gone by, they installed some shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
I'd never seen that before. I don't think I ever got the bottom of the mic control facility ending when I had the
All of
bucket.
his co-workers were gone.
That was great.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting.
Even in a game like this, I get
Stanley
something that I
picked up the
didn't even know
bucket.
existed.
He'd never be alone again, not truly alone. Not with the bucket around.
Exactly.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
Okay, time to get that other ending. I didn't think... Okay, I guess there was another ending. Well, good thing we got it. You guys didn't get the bottom of the mind control facility bucket ending! Why didn't you get the bottom of the mind control facility bucket ending?
Yeah, you need to get the B-O-T...
Into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an
M-C-F-B ending.
of life. Crushed by the weight of this revel, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Flip through the elevator, come on. Sure, that's an ending.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Okay, let's do it the safe way then.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
I like how that was like an inch off but as well.
Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Like that was an inch off from getting onto the actual platform.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
Because that is actually the thing you have to do for the speed run is get that one.
The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feet.
Hey Joel, if you were a bucket, what would you not want to
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world.
Well,
at this point, he could trust no
I wouldn't want to do as I
except
was
for the
told.
bucket.
Because if there are any trends, there's a trend. I want a bucket.
The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terror. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself?
Bucket!
How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared
Top 10
upon the
anime betrayals.
screen. Birds. Silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Flamingos.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
The only thing that could have made that better is if I saw Big Bird. Or Falco.
Yeah, if you want to get copyrighted.
Ollie.
This was gone. What could it mean?
What if a bird was eating ravioli? Would that be close enough?
Birdly. They could have gotten Birdly.
Stanley and the bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together.
This game came out before Deltarune Part 2. Well, I guess
Yeah,
he
I
was
think
in
it
Part
did.
1.
Stanley
I guess
clapped
he
the
was in
bucket
Part
tightly
1.
to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Technically. It wasn't important.
This was not the correct
In
way
Part
to the
1.
meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
You're right, Bucket.
Employee lounge is all the rage these
And
days.
here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to
I
be.
don't got any money. I can't fill the bucket with cold drinks.
Hey Bucket, can you spot me? I'm out of cash.
Truly, being filled with the bucket was a grand adventure.
Didn't work.
Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right. Then walking to the lounge. Then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Time for the confusion-ending bucket edition.
Oh, good Stanley, I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
We care about you, Stanley.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't
yes,
even
my
from the
fa-
original
my best
Stanley
friend
Parable.
Broom
It's
Closet.
just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
But I want to hang out
Look at
with
that wacky
Bucket
line. Who
Time.
knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
What? What? No.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets, it's all it knows.
The bucket
That
says
is
no.
its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of Deluxe Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and... Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Top 10 saddest anime deaths. Truly. Let us all have a moment of silence.
Anyway,
let's go see Megatron again.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him.
Of course.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, no. Never mind.
Yes,
The bucket
no.
was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
I can't do it, Bucket!
Stanley did not quite know, but Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. A good bucket,
Man,
a strong bucket.
I thought of a
humble
joke,
bucket,
but I'm
a
like...
committed bucket. A bucket of culture and distinction.
it's pretty dark.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, Aubrey, I want to show you something.
The bucket tightly closed. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
All the
But
people
Stanley
who haven't
felt
played the
bucket
game must be
calling
so
to him,
confused.
telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he
course,
unthinkingly
Bucket.
did whatever the bucket asked.
Let's go, Bucket.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
What's next to take me to work with you?
Oh boy!
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Okay. Oh, there you are.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think. It can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Don't listen to the loud man. Press square for us to go back home.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Well, Bucket's
It's
younger
sad.
right now.
I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley? Let's go back home.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Relive the same day with me. Over and over.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
To work, to home, to work, to home.
Oh no. I'm having feelings. For the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks.
no.
What's wrong with me? Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or
Close
I'll...
your eyes. Go back to work, Stanley.
Well then.
Bucket-chan is scared.
Huh.
Bucket-chan?
See you guys next time. Take care.
What did you do, Bucket-chan?